Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for my client Robbie's vlog. And this week will be a little different, and it's kind of funny because I want to vlog the guys who can get me footage every week. Some of my guys are behind, they're not getting footage to me and stuff, so some of the vlogs aren't going to be as consistent as I'd like. But Robbie's having a deload week, and I reminded him, hey, since you committed to vlogs, we need to film the deload weeks also, which is kind of funny because, it's lighter weight. Most people see it as not real training, but the thing is, it's part of his training, right? So we document it. Now he's playing with some front squats at the start of this. He just wanted to mess with some front squats here. Just doing them at the start, and he had footage, so we're throwing it into the vlog because he did it this week. But generally speaking, Robbie has to deload a lot. And that's one of the things we've noticed with him. He started, if you guys watch vlog one, right, go back to part one in this series and you'll see where he started. We have put 40 pounds on Robbie and he's still at an athletic body fat. So we need some context. This is one of the problems I run into frequently with a lot of skinny hard gainers. What is that problem? Connective tissue. Connective tissue inflammation, joint inflammation, stuff like that's a big deal for him. Now, I've had a lot of people say, well, shouldn't he have caught up? He's been gaining weight. You had him 22 months, 23 months, whatever. And that sounds good in theory till you realize how small and weak he was when he started. And it takes time to build new tissue, and tendons can take longer than muscles do. Okay, we deal with a lot of recovery issues accordingly. Right, we deal with a lot of recovery issues. His tendons and stuff get inflamed. And think about the strength levels we're at. You guys see him pulling almost 5 plates. All right, he went from being a very skinny underweight novice who could barely lift anything to, squatting 4 plates aside and pulling almost 5 plates. So think about that in terms of relative load. We've done that in 2 years. Now, what's something I have said, a year and a half ago in one of my client lesson updates? I told you guys one of the things I found with skinny hard gainers, their tendons are underdeveloped as a result of them walking around at lighter body weights. Whereas what's the studies show for bone density and stuff for overweight people? People who are overweight have great bone density, right? What plays a role in bone density? Well, tendons tying into the bones, tendon health. Kind of goes hand in hand with a lot of it. These things get built up over the years just from people walking around, standing up, sitting down, moving when overweight. People who are very skinny, conversely, guess what? They have less bone density. All right, what does that mean for the tendons inserting into the bones? Well, they have a slightly weaker connection. So what's this mean? Their tendons get inflamed more. They hurt more. It's warning signs that we're potentially overreaching. And yes, he eats a high protein diet. Yes, we focus on good nutrition. Yes, we're loading all of these things to build the tendons. But because they started so small, they don't really fully catch up in this first couple of years. And he is a long-term example. I've had him coming up on 2 years. I've had a lot of time to observe this. And yes, it gets slightly better over time, but because we gain muscle and strength so easily, we're always playing a game of letting his tendons heal. So what does that mean? We deload every 4th week. We have to deload every 4th week. So what do I do on a deload week for him? Well, you guys will see it. It's pretty straightforward. What do? Squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, all that stuff. We do 40% of his training maxes for sets of 10. Right? Normally we do boring but big stuff. We do 50% after heavy work, which is different than doing it fresh. It's actually much harder to do 50% after the heavy work. And we've discussed that in a lot of videos as to how that works. And it's made him bigger and stronger, right? We've got great gains doing that, even for Robbie. But on his deload weeks, I take it down to 40% with no heavy work first. We are just maintaining movement patterns. We're just maintaining blood flow. We're just resparking some of the muscle protein synthesis off the heavy possible overreaching we did. And this is why I talk about recovery so much in individual recovery. Robbie doesn't do really high volume. He does a moderate amount of volume. Yet his tendons struggle to adapt to it. So much so that 3 weeks of pretty hard training Every fourth week, we need this lighter week just for his recovery to play catch up, just for his tendons to play catch up. Okay, this should tell people a lot about individual recovery. This should tell people a lot about why, we can't overreach, why we don't need to be chasing maximum recoverable volume for most people. We don't even do that for him, and yet he starts hurting by the fourth week. By the time we get to a deload week, he usually has tendons inflamed. Whether it's an elbow, a wrist, maybe a hip, a knee, patellar tendon. Okay, we deal with all these issues. They're a little inflamed. They start to hurt a little bit around week 3 every time for him. We don't do that much volume. But even with the moderate volume, the good programming, and I know people are like, well, he's not huge now, but he's in shape and he's, decently big, putting up decently good weights. This is only a 2-year. He's not an advanced lifter yet. Okay? But if we look at those workloads, he can't recover from anymore. Yet we're seeing phenomenal gains. Keep in mind the weight gain and the size he is compared to where we started. He was truly looking emaciated. Now he's not. And again, puts up decently respectable weights. In another 2 years, he's going to be really strong. All right, what's he going to be deadlifting in another 2 years? He's almost at 5 plates now. Okay. Crank out pretty high rep pull-ups and chin-ups. So our deload weeks, what do? Well, we do 40%, like I said, for sets of 10 on his main lifts. We come in and usually do some light barbell rows, right? Because normally he does pull-ups and chin-ups, but it's kind of hard to deload those. Pull-ups and chin-ups tend to be difficult no matter how many you can do. Even if you say, well, I'm just going to do 5 reps. Well, it's still pretty taxing. So if we just want blood flow, and again, we want the tendons in his hands and stuff to recover, I pull the chin-ups, pull-ups out. We do some light rows. Right, I have him do ab work. All right, he's doing his hanging leg raises. So he can get up pretty high on those. Of course, he straps up for those here. So again, we need his hands to recover. His hands start to hurt. The tendons in his wrist and hands start to get inflamed just from all the pulling. So we let all that recover. We do some ab work. We do the rows. We do his barbell lifts. Then we come in and do some band work and stuff too. Okay, because again, we have a lot of blood flow that we need to get to tendons. You guys will see right here at the end him doing a bunch of his band pull-aparts and stuff. He does these for his rear delts because he's had a lot of shoulder health issues. And again, it comes down to he was very skinny and very underweight. Okay, a lot of the connective tissue and the rear delts and other stuff, they need the blood flow. They need the extra work. So for guys like Robbie, you guys will notice a lot of times you'll see him in some of the vlogs, he's doing high rep band press downs. We're seeing him do pull-aparts. Now, I would rather him pause these a little at the top, but he doesn't do them on camera that often for me. But at least he's doing them. We're getting blood flow to these areas. Sometimes he does these even he used to have to do them with leg extensions for his quads. Okay. We get blood flow to all these tendons. So you saw him doing those there. And I think here he's about to do, so some pressing, right? Because again, we do some pressing here. And the same thing. We're getting blood flow to those tendons. Right? He needs that blood flow to those pressing muscles, again, for his shoulder health. So we do a lot of this stuff even on his deload weeks just to keep it going. Because a lot of this is his prehab stuff and he needs it. So it gives you guys an idea of what we do even during his lighter weeks, which he's a lifter who has a habit. And some of you out there might have to have it too. It's just something to keep in mind. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.